Okay, in this practice problem for this unit, we're going to look at strings and date types, combo boxes, and prepare ourselves for the assignment for this unit, which will also work with dates and the date picker. We're going to start by creating a new Windows Form application. So I created a new application. I'll create a new application here, new project. And then just do a Windows Form application and call this practice problem, and we'll be using date time stuff here, so I'm just going to call it that. We're going to start by showing you kind of the bad way to work with dates, but it will show us how to use strings and combo boxes a little bit, and then we'll look at the proper way. And in this assignment this week, this unit, you will have to use the date time picker or a calendar to manipulate dates. So I'm going to start by creating a couple labels here. And we're going to use combo boxes to create things like a month. So I put a label here, and I'm also going to grab a combo box and put that up here. The label, I'm going to just change the text to say month. I'm not going to use it in code at all, so I don't care what the name is necessarily. The combo box I am going to use in code, so I'm just going to rename it to CB month. So I know this one is the month one, and I will create a couple other ones for the day of the week and day of the month and the year. Now with combo boxes, we need to fill in their values. If we run this initially, they're empty. There's nothing to choose from. And so I'm going to add some values. Later on, when we get into databases, we'll look at how to set the data source, so this will be filled automatically from maybe a database, a table in a database or whatever. But for now, I'm just going to scroll down to items, and there's a collection here. I'm going to click on the dot dot dot, and this will allow me to enter some values. So I'm going to just type in some of the months. So you don't have to type in all the months, we're just practicing things here, but if you got a couple months in here, that's fine. I just pasted the months all in here quickly from my other example. Hit OK. Excuse me. Now when I run this, my combo box will let me choose these different values. I'm going to do similar things. I'm going to create a label for the day of the week. And the year, and put combo boxes for both of those values. Now for the day, under collection, under item, collection, I'm going to just type in the days of the month, so they'll select like October, and then they can pick one of the months in October for that. So I'm going to go all the way down to 31. But one of the issues we'll talk about is that not all months have 31 days. So when I run this, I can choose a month and a day. So now all my days are there, but it is possible to choose illegal months. So I can choose September now and 31st, because every time it always is showing 31 days, and that's not a legal date. You can do some coding in here to determine here, but again, it gets kind of complicated to check what month they've chosen and then redo this field, and what if they've already chosen the day field. And it's hard sometimes, and that's why we generally are not going to have you set a month, a date using this sort of field, but it gives us a good example to start with. And again, for the assignment, we'll show you the correct way to do this. Again, for year, I do have some control over. Maybe I want to do just present years. Maybe this is credit card verification where, so I'm just going to go 2013, 2014, 2015, and 2016. So a couple dates there. So now I have all my boxes working. I can select a day, a month, a day, and a year. And I want to try to then format this. And first I'm going to do this the hard way using strings. And then we'll talk about using the date time element to do it. We haven't used strings, and so one reason I want to do it with strings is just to show you. A lot of people try to do this in strings, and it's just it is difficult, and we see a number of challenges. Hence the reason why we use the date time element. But it does introduce some of the common features, like how to concatenate strings together and stuff. So first, I'm going to just add a couple more labels here. And this one's just going to be month. And I'm going to add another label for what I call the short date. And we'll see what that looks like in just a sec. So the month is, I'm going to try to grab the month number from here. So maybe I should change, didn't want to do that. Maybe I should change this to, say, month number. I'm also going to add some labels here that I will set. And so I do want to set these names here. So I'm just going to call these LBL short for the short date, and LBL month. For the code here, I'm just going to also set their text to that value. Usually I would maybe make the text blank, but just so it's easier for you to remember what I named these things, I'm going to set the text values to the names of them. So then it's easier to kind of understand the code. So this one's named LBL short, and this one's named LBL month. I'm going to put in a little button here so I can activate some code. Maybe move these down a little bit. So when I click on this button, I'm going to want to change this. I'm going to set the month here from this combo box field. So how am I going to do that? So I'm going to run this button, get into this code. Now, I can set that label LBL month dot text. Oops, make sure I get the capital text. And I can set it equal to the combo box. So I'm going to grab the CV month combo box. And there's a couple things under selected. I'm going to get selected item. Selected item here. And I'm going to convert that to string. So I've grabbed my combo box, get the selected item, and convert that to a string and save that into the month field. So let's see what that's going to do. When I run this, I can select month, hit convert, and it's going to put March down here. But I actually want the month number, so if it's March, that's the third month. I want 3 to be here, because again, for the date, I want to say, I don't want to write out the long month. I just want to, like, if it's March 3rd or March 7th, 2013, I want it to do 3/7/2013. That's a short date with slashes and all numbers. And so, to build towards that, I want to convert this text March to a number. So let's look at some ways of doing that. So one way is to do a big switch statement and build this. Well, you know what? I could start with just an if-then. If this value is equal to March, then I want label month dot text equal to, let's say, 3. And I could do that similarly for all the other months. Let me just do 3 months here, so I'm just going to do January, February. And again, one of the problems here is that this requires a lot of code, and you can make mistakes, and would require lots of testing to make sure you've got every month typed in correctly and capitalized correctly. Okay, just fixed the small error I had with an incorrect kind of quote. So now I have that running. And so now you'd think if I ran this and I selected a month like February or March, hit convert. See, it's now showing the month 3 down here. Or if I switch to January, show 1. So that's doing what I want. That's good. But rather than having all these if-then statements, a better way to write that would probably be a switch statement. When you're doing a lot of similar comparisons, I want to use a switch instead, so I'm going to do switch off this value. And then I'm going to have a case for each of these examples. So if you remember from your other programming languages, the switch statement is similar to a whole bunch of if-then-else statements. So at the top we say switch, and we say what value we're switching on, and in each case is a different thing, equality to check for that value. So we can say case January and then list what we want here, and then we need to have a break after each of the switches. So let me just format that and show you what that'll look like. So now here's my big switch statement. I say switch and grab the combo box, the selected item, and convert it to a string. And then for each of the cases, for all 12 months, I check the value and convert it to a number, and save that number in the text, the LBL month text field, which is, so I'm grabbing this combo box, checking what value that is, and then setting this label to a number, basically. So yes, now I can run this, I can select any month I want, hit convert, and it'll display the month down there. And so you can see that working with dates is a lot of work. There are some shortcuts you can take. We could actually, because there is a nice January is the first one, and we entered January 1st in our text box, and as long as we entered all the months sequentially in our textbooks, we can actually, shorten this up. We can actually, instead of doing this case number, we could use the index of the select item. And do some conversion there. So I can put in code that actually grabs the selected index and converts it right to a string as a number. So earlier we were grabbing the selected item. Now we're grabbing the selected index. So the index is the number of the selected things. But unfortunately it starts at 0, and so January will be marked 0. So if we run this and convert January, it'll say 0, and February will be 1. And again, I can play with this. I could add one in here. I've got to put in some parentheses because I'm converting it to a string. But you know, you can get this to work. Oops, not there. But I can get that to work also, so that when I select February, it'll put 2 there. So there are some other ways to work with it. But in general, you know, these dates are hard to do and hard to work with. I'm going to also then look at formatting this as a short date and setting that up. So for a short date, I'm just going to create a string variable here. And I'm going to grab the month field that we have, and then add to it the date, put in a comma, and the year for a date value. So I can let's see if I have do I have these labeled? Let's see, what's that called? Oops, I never did change those labels. CB day, I want that to be. I want this one to be CB year for a combo box for the year. Okay, now again in my code I can grab each of those combo box values, so CB month.text and CB day.text, and I can concatenate when I'm taking text or strings. I can add them together and I will concatenate them together. I want to also add a comma in here. Let's see how this works. One more thing I then have to do is I'm actually going to want to store that short date in our field. So, and I keep saying short date. This is actually the long version of the date. So my label LBL short dot text is going to be equal to this string date. So now I can choose month, day, and year. Hit convert and grab the month number, and then now it's saying April 6, 2014 as the date. Here, but again, this is what we often call long date. It's writing out the full month. I'm going to switch that so I display the short date there. Number for the month / number for the day / number for the year. And again, I can use my concatenation for strings and create this date. So I'm going to write this directly to the my label. And I'm just going to take the month number, and so here, rather than using the combo box, I'm going to use my label month number, and then add in a slash as part of a text, and then grab the day and slash in the year, and then I'm going to run this. So now I can hopefully select it, the month, day, year. Hit convert, and I'm getting it in this sort 5/4/2014, which we call a short date. So that's looking good. But again, it's a fair amount of work trying to manipulate this. I'm having to concatenate these together, and if I actually wanted, to have it in different formats, it would be more complicated. So a good way to get around this is to use actually our date time type. And so in the next segment, I'll talk about adding the date time type and using that to this.